welcome back. Today we'll be addressing radial tunnel syndrome. Radial tunnel syndrome is where the radial nerve is entrapped, most often beneath the supinator muscle of the forearm. And what happens is the supinator muscles actually rotate the wrist and forearm. So you're going from a palm down to a palm up position. You'll see this in people who use a screwdriver a lot, rotating. What happens is the supinator muscle gets extremely short and tight, compressing the radial nerve beneath it. You're going to have symptoms that radiate to the thumb, index, and sometimes half of the middle finger. You want to make sure this does not get confused with carpal tunnel syndrome, which involves the carpal tunnel, the wrist junction. You're more likely going to have pain, thumb, index, middle finger, and sometimes one half of the ring finger. Okay, so your symptoms are going to vary. You also don't want to mistake this for tennis elbow. Tennis elbow, usually symptoms occur when you're gripping things, squeezing, handshake. You're going to have pain in the lateral epicondyle, where the tenoperiosteal junction is, right at that lateral epicondyle, or the musculotendinous junction, where the muscle and the tendon attach a couple inches below. Okay, so what happens is you'll have pain a couple inches below the lateral epicondyle. Very painful, but no numbness, tingling in your fingers at all. Okay, so you want to make sure you receive a correct diagnosis. The stretches that you're going to want to perform, people often want to stretch their wrist extensors. It feels good for a little bit, but it just keeps coming back. It's not really doing anything. Because what happens is when you actually are involved in performing activities that create a shortening of the supinator muscle is flexion and rotation, supination. Okay? So what happens now is that if I'm squeezing, flexing, and then rotating in the supination, I want to perform the exact opposite motions in order to correct the muscle imbalance. And that would be to extend and pronate. Extend and pronate. So what you're going to want to do is stretch the wrist and forearm, lengthening the flexor group, and then you want to hold these stretches for 10 to 15 seconds. Perform 3 sets of each stretch. And then what you want to do is rotate your wrist and forearm into pronation, and take your wrist and forearm here and rotate it. So I'm actually rotating it further into pronation. And I'm going to hold that stretch for 10 to 15 seconds. And you'll actually feel it right here. You'll actually feel it in this junction. So what you want to do is perform those stretches, then you want to follow up with exercises. Exercises you're going to want to perform, I prefer using the arm strap. Some people like to hold on to the bands themselves, but I don't. What you want to do is do the palm up elbow moving exercise. Right here I'm using flexed end, and I'm using the palm up elbow moving exercise. Going through a complete range of motion, extending my elbow, my wrist, spreading my fingers apart, and moving down into full extension, and reversing the motion and coming back up. If your elbow junction bothers you, to extend it, perform the palm up isolated in its place. Or if you want, and you don't feel pain, but only through a portion of the range of motion, maybe it's right down here. Before I lock out, I can just go ahead and move through a range of motion that's comfortable. As the extensor group gets stronger, over the weeks you'll actually be able to increase your range of motion further and further. So just make sure you're moving through a comfortable range of motion. The next exercise I want to perform is the palm down isolated exercise. I'm in a palm down position, which is automatically stretching the supinator group because I'm in a palm down position or a pronated position. Performing extension here. These isolated ones can really get you good. You think you're real strong until you start doing this. And then what I also want to do then is, now that was the palm down, I want to do the pronation exercise. So I'm extending my wrists and fingers, rotating my wrist over. So I'm going from a palm up, supinated position. Now I'm strengthening and shortening my pronator muscles that are on the flexor side of the forearm, which automatically stretches the supinator muscle group. Okay? So as I'm actively strengthening these, I'm actively stretching the supinator group, which is short, tight, compressing the radial nerve. Okay? So the pronation exercises. And you can also do thumb up isolated. This is in a more of a neutral position. And then of course finishing with the palm up elbow moving or palm up isolated right here. The exercises, these are not in the exact sequence. These are the exercises that are performed in the program, but week by week in the actual program, it is listed, weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through weeks 12.